Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. I'm your co-host, Gerald Chienga. I'm the director for Generative Safaris for Climate. You can check out our website, greatstuffclimate.org. If you want to reach us, just check our email on the website, or you can just also comment down here. Today we'll be doing our podcast, and I have my co-host with me. She will tell you her name and a little about her. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Ruth Ngazire. I'm a climate change expert and environmental education expert. I work with Regenerative Safaris. I'm a volunteer as research and communication officer. Welcome to our podcast. Thank you.
Welcome everyone. This podcast is about climate change and everything about it that affects us as human beings on Earth. I would love to start our podcast by first touching on the recent event that just happened in the month of February. We had a World Wetlands Day that was celebrated on 2nd of February. And I know that this day really means a lot to us as environmentalists, and also
Yes.
some of the importance that wetlands, how important are they to our lives? How important are they to our earth, to our environment? How important are these wetlands to our environment? Ruth, you can tell us more on that.
Importance of wetlands. Why do we need wetlands and why celebrate World Wetlands Day that happens second fifth anniversary of wetlands that happened in Iran? That's 1971. And somebody could be asking, why wetlands? Wetlands have many importance in Kenya, and as now we understand, many of wetlands are being degraded and encroached. You realize that if you check on remote sensing and GIS, you can realize our wetlands are shrinking. And why do we need wetlands in Kenya? Most of wetlands, they have fresh water. And as you check with UN now, as according to their report, fresh water is going to be scarce in Kenya and maybe worldwide. And if we have our wetlands, it means that we are going to have a lot of fresh water, like in mangrove areas and our internal waters. We need to conserve our wetlands for fresh water conservation, fresh water harvesting. Our wetlands also are a source of food. The wetlands are homes for water birds, homes for fish, and if we conserve our wetlands, we know that we will have more of fish like mudfish, even what can be used to provide water for irrigation to areas that are adjacent to such areas like in Narok. Most of the in Kenya we held it in Narok, and most of the community members, they use the water for pastoralism activities, for water for irrigation. I think if we encourage our communities not to encroach our wetlands, they will benefit more other than using it for housing. We can see most of areas in Nairobi, around maybe Garden Estate, sorry to mention, most of wetlands have been encroached, and you see most of people have established built up areas. In later years, you will realize when rain comes and these areas are flooding, and we will complain about climate change here. We are not doing it right. So wetlands, they protect us from flooding. And most importantly, they are carbon sequestrators. For example, mangrove forests along the coastal areas. Mangrove across along the coastal areas, they sequestrate more of carbon. They absorb more carbon through water, and even mangrove themselves, they are carbon stocks. So you see the mangroves, they are more carbon stocks compared to rainforest, because they absorb carbon by mud and water. they also store carbon from by their plant by as them as plants during photosynthesis. So as when we conserve these plants or these wetlands, we are going to absorb more carbon. We are going to offset more carbon from our atmosphere. Thank you. That's just little. Thank you so much. Back to you, Gerald.
Our listeners have really learned a lot. You know, whenever you see the wetlands, you might even despise them. You might wonder, this land is going into waste. But by us sharing this, I know our listeners will know that this land that they think is a waste, it's very, very, how much important it is. It's important for water, which is, water is life, as you shared. And also food. Some of food is like, although we can survive without food for a day or so, or even a month. Yeah, and I'm happy that it's really, really important in terms of reducing the greenhouse gases through sequestration and all that. So, yeah. So, but what stands out for me too is how much these private developers have been taking advantage of the land that they consider as a wasteland, the wetlands. They consider it as a wasteland and they would love to develop it, disregarding the importance. For example, I remember there's an activist known as Joanna Stachberry. She was killed in Kiambu, Kenya on July of 16th. She was very, very... she was very, very strong in terms of putting out activism for wetlands in Kiambu region. And it was so sad to see that private developers ganged up, and so may her soul rest in peace. But I believe that the work that she did will soon stand out and help out our country as Kenya, not only Kenya but in the world, because greenhouse gases doesn't have a boundary, that. Yeah, so Joanna Stachberry, she died aged 67 years, may her soul rest in peace. Our protection for wetlands will stand out in Kenya and will continue that fight. Okay, moving on to our next topic. There's a focus by the Kenya Meteorological Department on how bad it's going to be for us in terms of heat. I don't know how you're feeling it there. How has the past week been?
Hey, so but I was somewhere in Farmer's Choice.
Yeah.
And I asked one of the workers, how are you feeling about this?
Yes.
Heat? And I asked the question to a colleague at Farmer's Choice, and I was like, how are you feeling with this heat? And the colleague said, maybe I've not paid the tithe to God, and we need to do something. Maybe we have hurt God.
Okay.
Probably we have hurt God by interacting with what He did. He created a good universe, but as human beings, are seeing it as a useless stuff to just use it. We just cut our forest, we just emit as much as we can. But I think this discussion is going to tell us what should we do and why is it happening. Back to you, Gerald.
Bringing matters religion in terms of our adversities is also alright, it's okay. The reason I believe that we are going to have so much heat waves going on in Kenya, in some parts of Kenya, and others will not be experiencing it. I'll share. First, I believe that the human activities that are happening globally is impacting us here in Kenya. The greenhouse gases that are being emitted in the countries that are in the other continents, Europe, America, Asia, all those gases are affecting us here in Kenya. They are also affecting people in South Africa, not only here.
Yes.
So these greenhouse gases, they trap the long waves, and these long wave radiations, they cannot be emitted from the atmosphere, so they end up heating up our atmosphere that we are in. So when it happens, you find that the degree Celsius will be more than the normal that we know. It will be more than the norm by probably 1 to up to 5 degrees Celsius. The best way that we can help in that is just trying to reduce the greenhouse emissions. And later on, I'll try to share about how can we adapt and mitigate. Also, another cause that I saw that was bringing in this heat wave that we are experiencing is the fact that we are nearing the equinox. We have an equinox that will be happening on March of 21st.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's contributing because we know that Kenya is located in the tropics, and as the position of the sun is approaching our region, it is contributing more to the radiations that we get exposed to is high because of the position of the sun. So that is really contributing to our exposure to the heat waves that will be happening in the near months. Another thing that I know is affecting us is the La Nina. La Nina is different from El Nino. So you find that the central to eastern region of the Pacific will be cold. It will be cold.
Yes.
And the SSTs will be so cold, and it will bring in the droughting effect into our region. So by this droughting effect combined with the radiations, it will be so worse on Earth. And combined with the greenhouse gases, it will be extra worse for us, So the two are contributing, but bringing in the factor of La Nina, it is making it more and more severe. Yeah, so how can we adapt and mitigate as Kenya or as even the world? Whenever I know heat waves occur, I know probably during the summers in Europe they occurred, and also in Asia they also occur during when the position of the sun is in the tropics. So one of the things that we can adapt or mitigate with the heat waves, urban to rural migration will help us in adapting and mitigating against the heat wave effect. Within the urban areas, there's so much absorption of the radiations that causes the urban heat island effect during the daytime and during the night time. But looking at our rural areas, they are very okay. Everything is good. They don't have the heat island effect due to the vegetative nature that they have, and the environment there is so conducive. So I believe that if we can migrate from the urban areas and go to the rural areas which are very, very protected from the heat waves, then we'll be able to survive whatever will be happening. And we can do that. You can do it, or you can even live with it. If you are working in urban areas, you can stay on the outskirts of the urban area. So another thing that we can do is using renewable energies in our cooling devices. Whether you have a fan, whether you are building as AC. Is it climate smart? Is it emitting less carbon? Yeah. So you can use electricity from the solar. Another thing is trees. We need to plant trees because they really provide shades.
How many trees have you planted so far?
So far, in the year 2023, I've planted 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
10.
I've planted 5 in 2023, and I think in this month I'll be looking forward to plant other 5. I think February is not over. Yeah. So trees because they provide shade and also help in the sequestration of carbon. Another thing is how do we design our buildings in the urban areas? So was especially in Kenya. I wish that we could design our buildings in that when someone's in the house, you won't need an AC. Yeah, it really helps. It helps in adapting and mitigating towards the heat wave effect and in the climate change fight. Yeah, those are our share. Maybe you have something to tell us about the heat waves.
Oh, I don't have much. My interest is trees.
Yeah.
Trees. The government wants us to plant 15 billion trees.
Yeah.
And maybe you can organize maybe this year we can say you're turning maybe 27, 26. You can plan and plant 26 on your birthday. The problem is we don't know how these trees are going to reach maturity. How are we going to make sure that this tree grow and offset the carbon we want to reduce in the atmosphere? That's the problem. As much as we are planting, are we making sure that they reach maturity? How many trees are going to mature? How many trees are going to reach maturity and they offset the carbon we want to reduce in the atmosphere? That's my worry and my question.
So we should not just plant trees, but we should also grow them.
Sure.
Isn't it? Yeah, we should also grow them and tell us more about it too.
Then people should just wear capes and maybe work with umbrellas. That's the little we can do.
Yeah.
And people be climate where the climate is changing, because during COVID-19.
Yes.
Yeah, children were aware of COVID.
Yeah.
But currently, even children are not aware of climate change because maybe the parents don't know, the community don't know, the chief maybe. You may find that the chief maybe don't know, the kid of Nyumbakumi don't know about climate change, and it's what is affecting us. I think we need climate change education in our community, in our grassroots level.